Hello, Cozy Gamers, and welcome back to the Cozy Gaming Club, where we talk about all the latest cozy games. Today, we're going to be taking a look at my first year in Cattails' Wildwood Story, which is sort of a life sim where you're building a new home for your colony, except you're a cat. I've not played the original Cattails, but I was honestly so excited to check this one out, and it did not disappoint. Thank you so much to Falcon Development for giving me a key to check this out early. Also, if you want to check out my spoiler-free review of the game, then I've linked it up above. Hold on to your whiskers and let's get started. As with any good live sim, our game begins with customizing our character. Or in this case, our cat. I was so impressed with how many options there were for choosing your cat's coat, as well as the option to design your very own colour scheme. I also got to decide how fluffy my cat was, and I went for very fluffy. Then our story begins. We're all that remains of 3 great cat colonies that were destroyed by a devastating earthquake, and we've set out into the Wildwood to find a new home to call our own. As we're the leader of this clan, it's our job to help out around camp, and that starts with collecting some flowers for Spark, followed by hunting with Coco. Hunting was surprisingly easy, although I did feel a bit bad about killing the little mouse. But before we could head back, a strange black mist appeared. Of course, we had to check it out. We are clan leader after all. And we discovered a strange voidling cat that immediately attacked us. Thankfully, I've got a pretty mean right scratch, and I was able to easily vanquish it. Then another 2 showed up, and I had to deal with them as well. And I'm guessing we'll be seeing more of them again later. In the meantime, we headed back to camp to let our fellow cattizens know what we'd discovered. While we were discussing if it was too dangerous and whether we'd need to move on and find a new place to camp, the forest guardian appeared and told us all that we'd found our new home. To help us deal with the voidling cats, the guardian taught us how to roar like a lion and scare the enemies away. Not bad for a little kitty. We then got to choose where we wanted to settle, and although there were a few interesting choices like meadow, swamp, beach and volcano, I decided just to go with a pretty woodland. After finalising some information about our clan, we then headed to bed and finished our very first day in Cattails. Day 2 greeted us at a bright 8 AM, and our first task was to build a temple for the forest guardian to live in. Thankfully, we didn't have to collect any supplies for this and were able to construct it straight away. My task for the day was to meet some of my fellow cats, so I set out to do just that and almost immediately got sidetracked by stumbling across a mine run by a friendly mole. Mining seemed easy enough at first, as all I needed to do was swipe at rocks and search for ladders to take me down to the next level. But on level 3, I encountered a bat who quickly showed me how much I sucked at fighting in this game. I barely made it out of there with 1 heart left. After that, I decided to be a good clan leader and meet all of my villagers, who proceeded to criticize me for not looking after myself. Then I headed to the temple. The forest guardian was very grateful for my assistance in building him a temple, and then told us that to grow as a colony we'd need to invite new cats to join our clan. To do so, we'd have to visit the statue in the temple and donate the materials required for each new resident. I, of course, decided to challenge myself to see if I could unlock the first resident today, and after exploring all the area around my camp, I found all the materials I needed to invite the gardener to join us. This meant we needed to build a home for Alabaster to live, and I loved that we could place this anywhere we wanted in town. And the same was the case for the garden, which we got to build next. To finish off my day, I planted some seeds in my new garden and then went around town gifting some of my day's haul to all of my cattizens. Or so I thought. But that night I had horrible nightmares that threatened the wrath of the Wildwoods on my clan if we didn't leave. The next morning I chanced upon the colony stockpile, which gives you bonuses if you meet the daily burn rate. I didn't have much on me though after giving everything away the night before. So I kept exploring and came across the task board. Here I got a quest off Jag to win 2 daily battles, which seemed okay to me. After that I planted some more seeds and also crafted some plant food to spread on my crops to help them grow. Then I set out exploring. I caught a lot of animals for gifts and for filling my stockpile, and I also stumbled across my first wild fight with the voidling cats. Honestly, it took me a little while to get the hang of fighting, but eventually I managed to kill them all. You'll later realize that this confidence is entirely misplaced though, if my fight with the bat didn't already spell that out for you. Anyway, I decided to head back to town after that and donated a lot of my daily haul to the stockpile, before gifting some items to my fellow cats again to see if we could become better friends. We did not. On day 4, I was determined to complete my task board quest, so I ran straight into the wild to face off against the terrifying voidling cats. I defeated the first pack easily enough, but then I decided to face off against a second group, who were considerably harder with ranged attacks and decreased numbers. Sadly, my little kitty didn't fare as well against these voidlings, and as the screen turned black and my vision started to fade, I found myself a little worried that this game was a roguelike and I'd have to start again from the beginning. But thankfully I woke to the golden metal of Crampy's mask on day 5. Crampy is the doctor and they were able to save me and patch up my injuries. Unfortunately, you do lose some of your inventory when you pass out though, and Cattails is not nice. I think I must have lost half of my inventory for fainting. I made myself a promise that I would not be doing that again. Spoilers, I will. A lot. Rather than mess around exploring again today, I decided to actually focus on the main quest line and address the dreams I'd had back on day 2. To do that, I headed to the temple to meet up with the Forest Guardian, Jag, and Coco, who, it turns out, had also been having bad dreams. Unfortunately, the Forest Guardian didn't know what was causing our dreams, but they suggested we explore the dark ruins around Wildwood to see if they held any further information inside. I headed straight for the dark ruins, but while I was on the way, I came across a strange statue. It looked a little bit robotic, like the gyroids from Animal Crossing, and when I investigated it, it promised me a great treasure if I accepted its challenge. The challenge turned out to be a really fun quiz show complete with confetti, and thankfully I was able to guess most of the correct answers and was rewarded with a power paw that increased my speed. Perfect for speeding directly towards the dark ruins. The Forest Guardian greeted me when I arrived and eventually revealed that there was a sealing spell on the door that meant I would need to increase the number of residents in my clan before I entered. I knew that meant collecting lots of items to donate to the statue, so that's what I did. For the next few days, I collected fish and creatures, slowly moving further afield to unlock rare catches so that I could add new cats to our clan. Along the way, I was also able to unlock more power paws that gave me more health by triggering lots of paw-shaped touchpads on the floor. By the end of day 6, I'd welcomed Talon into our group and unlocked squads. Then on day 7, I'd welcomed Bob. On day 8, I realised that I could decorate my house without spending any resources, so I spent a bit of the morning placing loads of items around my home before heading straight back to the dark ruins. I wasn't sure whether to expect a big fight, but when I headed in, all I found were a few bats, at first. After taking care of those, I moved deeper into the darkness and revealed a complex puzzle that I needed to solve. I won't spoil the answer for you, but I soon had the door open and was moving into the next area of the ruins. Here I needed to face off against some weird blob creatures in a room filled with acid. Which seemed simple enough at first until I killed them all and then they suddenly respawned again. Worried that I had misunderstood and low on health, I decided to leave the ruins for now and head home. After filling up my stockpiles, I decided to turn in for the night and try again tomorrow. Or so I thought. I had a little bit of trouble with this because every time I tried to sleep until the next day, I just woke up again a few hours later without my health restored. I ended up doing this repeatedly all night until I woke up again at 9 AM, still with no health. Not ideal when I wanted to fight the creatures in the dark ruins. Thankfully, I had an abundance of golden seals, so I chowed down on some of that and also planted some more for later. Then it was back to the ruins again. After quickly dispatching the bats and making my way through the ruins, I was faced with the slimes again. But this time I noticed that there were 3 dots above the door, one of which was lit. I guess that this must mean I had to kill 3 waves of the slime enemies, and it turns out I was right. The next challenge was another puzzle, where my cat needed to carefully navigate a series of tiles, making sure to follow the path I was shown beforehand. After 3 rounds of this, I headed through the big double doors into the final room where I faced an impressive cat. It was time for my first boss battle, and as boss battles go, this wasn't particularly difficult. I needed to break the small bundles, powering its shield, and then wail on it while its defenses were down, all the while dodging the white balls of power that were flying around the room. At first, I tried only doing charged attacks, but I quickly realized I could do significantly more damage just by hitting it repeatedly with my small attacks. After that, the battle was over in no time, and the first dark ruins were purified. It was time to head home and let my clan know it was safe now. A forest guardian suspected that the figure I met may be the Wildwood champion, who once protected the Wildwoods, but they weren't sure and so asked me to continue to investigate. Since it was only halfway through the day, I decided that I'd also give mining another go, as I hadn't tried it since my first day in Wildwood. I had a much better go at the mines today and was able to make it all the way down to level 13, dodging traps, collecting precious quartz, and slaying all the enemies I found along the way. By this point, my health was very low, so I decided to sell some of my items and then head home for the night. Except I didn't realize how low my hunger level was, and I ended up fainting on the way home. Oops. After losing a substantial number of items again, I awoke at the doctor's the next day and headed to the temple to finally unlock the museum with the quartz I'd collected. This let me welcome Glimmer to my town, and I headed straight to meet them after finding the perfect spot to place their new home. The museum looked promising, with lots of room to place artifacts. It seems to operate in a similar way to Stardew Valley, where you collect geodes, or in this case curios, and then turn them into artifacts. After my cutscene, I did just that, but I couldn't find Glimmer to donate my item. Strangely, there was also no one in town, so I headed out hunting again. It was only when I returned home a few hours later that I noticed my mailbox was flashing, and it turned out that today was a spring festival. Thankfully, it wasn't late and I was still able to take part. I started by completing the paw puzzle in the festival ground to unlock another health booster, and then I spoke to Coco to start the festival game. This was a really fun game about catching mice, and I definitely became better at it as time went on. It seems like you get 3 chances to complete the game every festival, and between this and playing some games with Spark, I was able to round up 16 festival tokens. Sadly, just short of the 18 tokens I needed for the Power Paw Green. So I treated myself to some other items like a pet ladybug, just in case I lost all my tokens after each festival. It turns out the seasons in Cattails are quite short because the first day of summer blossomed the next day. I started my day off by planting some seeds, assigning my squads, and dropping my curios off at the museum. Then it was time to face off against some void cats and try to grow my territory some more. I really wanted to reach the higher producing areas for sending squads out. I also did some hunting while I was out there, and I finished the day by heading back to the mines again. Unfortunately, I didn't make it very far, which is why I headed straight back the next day. I have really mixed thoughts about the mines, if I'm being honest. The mining itself is super simple, you just need to destroy the rocks and look for the stairs. All the special rocks are marked by gem shards, and the treasure chests are easy to spot as well. There are a few fun changes, like some levels needing keys to unlock the staircases, and some staircases needing you to fix them in order to use them. But the toughest thing about the mines is that there aren't regular checkpoints, like in other games. Instead, you need to make it all the way to level 25 before you get a checkpoint you can continue from. Also, with limited inventory space, it's hard to bring enough food down to sustain you, as well as leaving enough space to bring things back with you. I managed to make it all the way to level 32 though before leaving, and then I made the stupid decision to try to hunt some voidling cats. And you can probably guess how that ended. After waking the next morning and losing half my inventory again, including my super rare blue jay, I was determined to unlock some new residents for my clan. That meant heading out into the wildwoods to collect some resources like crabs and mackerels so that I could welcome some new cats. And I got 3 for the price of 2. First up were Fliss and Lainey, 2 sisters who had really cool eyes, and then we were also able to welcome Champ. There are only 5 residents left to invite to our clan now, which is really sad, but we're also definitely running out of places to put them all. I finished the day by giving some random gifts to our feline friends to try to work out their favourite items before heading to bed. We started off the next day by meeting our 3 new residents. Then it was back to battle again, and I stumbled across the next dark ruins by accident. But they were now open, so naturally I abandoned all of my plans for the day and ventured inside. The first challenge involved puzzling out the correct order for 4 shapes based on some clues, which took me a little while to figure out. Then it was the return of our pathfinding challenge, but these were much harder than before. Thankfully, when you get one wrong, you don't lose any of your health, you just have to start over again, which was nice. After that, it was another pipe challenge before we were heading into the final room to face the boss. I was fully expecting to face off against the tiger again, but all of a sudden they were transforming into something else. A squid! This was a really fun boss fight where once again you're dodging the flying objects, which this time looked a lot like pears. But also the squid spread out its huge tentacles that can hurt you if you come into contact with them. You gotta dodge all of those before attacking a squid to reduce its HP. Once I defeated the boss and purified the temple, I was heading home to let everyone know, when I realised it was Ember's birthday. So I grabbed a squirrel and headed to Ember's shop, which is when I experienced my first NPC event. Glimmer came into the store and asked for some very rare items that weren't available in the shop, and followed up by insulting Ember's store. Not very nice on her birthday. I gave her a present and also bought myself an inventory upgrade while I was there, as well as some doves that I needed to add another Cattails to our clan. Then I finally made it to the temple where I reported what I'd discovered at the latest dark ruins. I also took a look at some of the requirements for the next Cattails, and some of them I hadn't even seen before. On day 15, it was back to the mines again, and the next level was pitch black, so I bought a little headlight from the moles. Not that it helped much, but I think I can upgrade it more in the future. That's essentially all I did with my day, although I did encounter a new type of staircase this time, where I needed to solve a puzzle in order to unlock it. That was a pretty fun twist on typical mining. The next day, I finally reached 3 stars with a friend, which unlocked the buddy system. This is such a cool mechanic that added something new and exciting to the game. Essentially, I can now take cats along with me on my adventures, as long as they're of a certain friendship level. Each cat also has cool perks as well, like Coco's ability to gain influence for any region you're in. As with day 15 though, I spent most of this day trying to journey through the mines. Sadly, I didn't reach the checkpoint as I once again ran out of food and was unable to continue. But I did manage to collect enough resources to upgrade my headlamp before heading home, so swings and roundabouts. After 2 days in the mine, I wanted a change of scenery, and needed some more food to sustain my mine exploits. So I set out into the wild to do some hunting and foraging. While exploring, I stumbled across another seasonal carving, this time the summer carving. I'd honestly completely forgotten about these, but I was excited to put my cat knowledge to the test again. I did okay up until the 3rd question, which was a little tricky to be honest. But I was still able to complete 3 within the 5 question limit and received my health boost as a reward. I honestly spent the entire day exploring, and at the end I was able to invite a new cat to the clan called Zephyr. Today was also the day I discovered skills, which is ridiculous. All this time I'd been collecting XP and I had no idea what to spend it on. But it turns out there's a scratching post in your house where you can unlock new skills that do a lot of different things. From more powerful attacks to increasing your friend points and creating a shield. So I picked some new skills and splurged on my XP to level them all up. On day 18 it was back to the mines again, and with all my new food I was able to reach level 50 with ease. I also unlocked Jag as a buddy, which was really useful when I went back to the mines on day 19. The reason this is so useful is because one of Jag's special abilities is that he can destroy all the rocks surrounding him. This triggers randomly so you can't control when it's going to happen, but it's very useful when it does. Sadly, I didn't make it all the way to level 75, but we gave it our best effort. The next day was the last day of summer, which meant it was time for a new seasonal festival. All of my Cattails gathered in a festival square, so I made sure to chat to every single one of them and also put my new skills to good use by boosting my friendship points. Just like last time, there were fun games to play as well. This time, Ember challenged us to Catfish River, which is basically rock, paper, scissors. I don't know if you're destined to win or if I just got lucky, but I won every round. There was also turtle racing, which was quite a funny concept. There are 3 turtles to choose from, and you just have to react at the right time to send your turtle sprinting towards the finish line. I won twice with Mimi and once with Speedy. After that, it was time to spend my points, and I finally had enough to unlock a new power paw. This time it was green, which meant it increased my luck. I also grabbed some snake lily from the store as I hadn't encountered it yet, but knew that I needed it for one of my citizen requests. After waking the next day, I was spoiled with the golden shades of autumn in Cattails, which is beautiful. I started my day by chatting to Jag, who I decided a while ago that I wanted to romance. Today I finally reached max friendship with him after giving him a dove, which is one of his favourite items, by the way. This meant I could finally give him a red rose and profess my feelings for him. We were now officially dating. For the rest of the day, I went exploring with Coco, collecting all the cool new autumn forageables, which were mainly mushrooms. I decided to finally take on the new Dark Ruins the next day to continue with the main quest line. The first thing I needed to do was face off against some new scary Darkling bugs. After I hit them, they were able to shield themselves from my attacks, which was very annoying after I'd done a huge charge up. I had to clear 3 rounds of these before the door opened, and then it was on to the next room. This was another puzzle room with some familiar icons from the last Dark Ruins, but more of them than before. There were a lot of different rules to remember as well, so much so that I had to write them all down. But after a little playing around, I was able to solve the puzzle and move on to the next room, which was another battle. I loved the little ghosties in this room. They were super cute, and if you were quick, you could get in a double slash before they disappeared. To unlock the next door, I needed to kill 4 waves of ghosts, and each wave brought even more ghosts than the one before. Sadly, I couldn't defeat them all, and I had to quickly sprint home before I died. Again. Another day, another hunting spree. But this time I got to experience another cute heart event. This time between Fliss and Alabaster. Fliss really wanted to get some flowers for Lainey as she'd run out of paint, but didn't have any money to buy some off Alabaster. After a small tiff between the 2 sisters, Alabaster decided to drop off some flowers for them for free on their way home. How sweet. The following day was my birthday, so I spent the morning going around every cat in my clan to receive my birthday gift from them. I got an assortment of different items, many of which I sold or re-gifted, including a very awkward situation where Ember gifted me a sparrow and I immediately resold it back to them. Then, as with every day, I went hunting with Coco by my side once more, which I did again on day 25. Then on day 26, I decided to return back to the mines. With Jag by my side destroying stones left, right and centre, we were able to make quick work of each level. As we delved deeper, we came across lava, and with it, diamonds, at last. Finally, we had treasure for our stockpile. We just had to make it out alive, and although there were a couple of close calls, Jag and I made it all the way to level 75 and were able to secure our next checkpoint. But our adventures for the day didn't end there. After spending the entire day boosting my friendship levels with Jag while we were exploring, I'd reached max hearts with them, meaning I could give them a shiny trinket and ask them to marry me. They of course accepted, and we had a lovely ceremony in the meadow with all of our friends around us. On day 27, I took some time to fight off the Darkling cats who were stirring up trouble on the boundaries of my clan. But mostly it was just back to hunting again. There were still quite a few things I needed to invite new Cattails to join my clan, and a lot of them were forageables from exploring. Or so it seemed anyway. By the end of the day, I'd collected all the peppermint I needed to invite fandom to join my settlement, and they looked really cool. Their eyes were icy and fierce. It had been quite a few days, and I'd completely forgotten about the Dark Ruins I was supposed to be beating, so on day 28 I decided it was time to go back. This time I brought along Spark, who was a fierce fighter, but no one tell Ember I got them in danger, okay? Upon arriving, I was able to quickly spring through all the poison clouds, and then Spark and I went to work on the ghostly figures from last time. With two of us dividing the work, it went a lot quicker, and before long I heard the satisfying ping of the doors opening. After a helpful rest stop, it was on to the final battle, and the boss was not happy with us for persevering. This time they transformed into a flock of bats and set about attacking me, along with an army of voidling cats that showed up as well. It was really lucky that Spark was still there, as I don't think I would have survived without their help to fight them together. Their powerful hits were also very strong against the boss when we got the chance to wail on them. With the temple purified, it was time to head home and let the Forest Guardian know that we'd been successful once more. I finished off the day with a little gardening and meeting my new residents. The following day brought with it more mining, but I couldn't make it to floor 100 even with Jag's help. Which brings us to the last day of autumn and the autumn festival. I loved the little pumpkins everywhere, and the strange mist was slightly ominous. The game this time was a fun pumpkin race maze thing, where you had to carefully navigate your way through a moving onslaught of pumpkins and try to stay alive as long as possible. I felt a little cheated by the first race. I'm pretty sure there were no gaps to squeeze through at the end there, but I did well on the others to make up for it. Overall, it was probably my favourite of all the minigames I'd played so far, and with a top score of 1 minute 45, I was able to claim my prize. Cute carved pumpkins to decorate my house with, and dragon wings. Winter arrived the next day, which unfortunately meant there would be less prey around, so I was glad I had this huge stockpile of prey saved in my storage. I started the day by teaming up with Champ to go and fight some voidling cats and get some more influence over the surrounding areas. After that, I instantly ditched them in favour of Coco and went out hunting again to catch some prey and gain more influence. For the next 4 days, I spent all my time in the mines, trying to fight my way to the bottom of them. I was determined to get there before the end of the year, and I was cutting it pretty close. This also meant I was able to boost my friendship with Jag significantly as well, and just before we headed to bed on day 25, they asked a pretty important question. Did we want to have a litter of kittens? I really loved that this was an option so that players who aren't comfortable could turn them down, but I really wanted my own litter of cute kittens. On day 26, I woke up and decided I wanted to redecorate my entire house. I had unlocked a lot of new decoration items, so I set to work creating a cute layout for my room, like setting up my fireplace and this celestial rug. Then it was time for more hunting and exploring, and I had so much fun skating around on the ice. Today was the first time I'd encountered a crow in the entire game. I actually went from finding the one crow I needed to welcome another Cattails to catching 3 crows in one day. I also stumbled across a new seasonal totem, which meant it was time for another fun quiz. I'm pretty sure that some of the questions that came up were questions that I'd already done, so I'm not sure if they're random or set questions. Thankfully, my knowledge, or guessing, were on point, and I was able to answer all the questions correctly and take home a new power paw that increased my max hunger. On my way home, I stumbled across another fun cutscene, this time with Flissy and Lainey, who played a little prank on Spark. It was a fun trick, and thankfully Spark was a good sport about the joke. At the end of the day, I welcomed a new citizen, Charlotte, who looked badass. Look at that spiky collar. And then I was surprised to see that I'd unlocked the final Dark Ruins. I thought I'd need to unlock all of the citizens, but it turns out I didn't need to. But would I be able to complete the last ruin before the end of the year? I started day 37 with even more decorating, followed by some gardening, and then more hunting. But then on day 38, I buddied up with Champ and decided to go and check out the new Dark Ruins. With just one medicinal herb to my name, this was probably a bad idea, but I wanted to check it out. With the doors open, I headed inside and instantly knew this one was going to be difficult. Almost the entire floor was lava, and just making it to the first fight took 2 of my hearts. Thankfully, Champ was a real trooper and braved the lava to take down all the ghosts for me. They didn't seem to get damaged by the lava like I did, so I was quite happy to let them take care of it. But then as we headed to the next room, Champ met their match. Between the fiery gas and the bug's poison, they stood no chance and had to flee home. I wasn't far behind them, but sadly I didn't make it as I collapsed on the floor of the Dark Ruins. I didn't really do anything exciting on the penultimate day, as I spent all my day hunting for prey to earn some extra money, and trying to earn some extra influence for my colony. On the final day of the year, it was time for the Winter Festival, and it looked so cute. There was snow falling everywhere, the trees all had fairy lights on them, and my entire colony was gathered for the event. After quickly speaking to all my friends, it was time for the final mini-game of the year, a snowball fight. This was by far the hardest game of the year. I was so bad at it. If you get a higher score than 10, please come and let me know your secrets. But after 3 mini-games, I'd collected 10 festival tokens, and I was able to buy a cute knitted jumper and some festive lights. Although I do wish I'd bought the blue snow jumper instead, because the pink one blended in way too much with my fur. Then it was finally time to settle down to sleep on my last night of the year with my little bee and my bow tie. Which also brings us to the end of this video. I really hope you enjoyed this look at the entire first year of Cattails Wildwood Story. There is so much more content to discover in this game, and I can't wait to continue playing and try to beat that final dark ruin. Do you think you'll be picking this up and giving it a go yourself? Let me know in the comments, and I look forward to seeing you next video. Bye!